Fourth grade, today we are on 2 note pages, Module 3, Lesson 28, Long Division Practice, Day 2. We're going to get another day of practice in for long division. Take a moment to fill out your table of contents and then find your next open spread. Today you have your steps: divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. We're going to call repeat, which means you bring it on back, or remainder, which means you have nothing to bring on down, so whatever's left over is your remainder. Let's practice with our first problem, 776 divided by 2. Our dividend is what lives in the house, 776. Our divisor, knocking on the door, is 2. Remember your steps: divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 7 divided by 2 is not a math fact that divides evenly. So I'm just going to ask myself, how many groups of 2 can I pull out of the number 7 without going over? And that's 3 groups of 2. Divide, multiply. 3 times 2 equals 6. Divide, multiply, and subtract. 7 minus 6 equals 1. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Let's start the steps over. Divide. 17 divided by 2. The closest math fact I can get when I count by 2s is 2 times, 8, because 8 gets me to 16. 2 times 8, I'm only going to multiply the number that gets onto my roof next, is 16. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. 16 divided by 2 is 8 groups. Divide, multiply. 8 times 2 is 16. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down, and if there's nothing to bring down, that means that you are done. We have a remainder of 0, and now we're going to check our work. When we check our work, we want to see that the numbers on the outside multiply to get the number on the inside. So we're going to multiply 388 times 2. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 2 is 16 again, plus 1 more is 17. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. When we multiply, we get 776, which is our dividend, and that means we are correct. Let's take it from the top with our next problem, 378 divided by 2. Our dividend is 378. Our divisor, knocking on the door, is 2. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 3 divided by 2. The closest math fact I can do is 2 times 1. Multiply. 2 times 1 is 2. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 17 divided by 2. I can't do 17 divided by 2 evenly, so the closest math fact I can get is 8 groups of 2. Divide, multiply. 8 times 2 is 16. Divide, multiply, and subtract. 17 minus 16 is 1. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Divide, multiply. 9 times 2 equals 18. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down. Nothing left to bring down. That's it. I'm going to stop here and check my work. I'm going to check the numbers on the outside to make sure that they multiply to get the numbers on the inside. 189 times 2. 9 times 2 is 18. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 1 more is 17. 1 times 2 is 2. 2 plus 1 more is 3. 378 matches the dividend that I started with, and that is a check. Let's move on to our next two problems to practice. Next, we're going to solve 862 divided by 5. My dividend is 862. My divisor, number knocking on the door, is 5. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 8 divided by 2. The closest math fact I can get to is one group of 5. Multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. Divide, multiply, and subtract. 8 minus 5 is 3. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 36 divided by 5. I can't skip count by 5s and get to 36. The closest I can do is 7 groups of 5. Multiply. 7 times 5 equals 35. Divide, multiply, and subtract. 36 minus 35 is 1. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 12 divided by 5. Let's see. I can't skip count by 5s and get to 12. The closest math fact I can do is 2 groups of 5. Divide, multiply. 2 times 5 is 10. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down. Ooh, there's nothing left to bring on down. So if I can't bring anything down, that means that what's left over is my remainder. I have a remainder of 2. Let's see how that affects the way that we check our work. 172 times 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 1 more is 36. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 more is 8. But this doesn't match my dividend. So I need to remember that anytime I have a remainder, I add it back. 860 plus 2 more is 862. Let's practice our last problem together. Our dividend is 621. And our divisor is 4. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 6 divided by 4. The closest math fact I can do is one group of 4. Divide, multiply. 4 times 1 is 4. Divide, multiply, and subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down and bring it on back. Divide. 22 divided by 4, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 5 groups is the closest I can get to. Multiply. 5 times 4 is 20. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down. And bring it on back. Divide. 21 divided by 4. Again, the closest I can get is 5 groups. Divide, multiply. 5 times 4 is 20. Divide, multiply, and subtract. Bring it on down. There's nothing to bring down. So if there's nothing to bring down, that means my last step is identifying my remainder. Let's check our work to see how we did. Multiply your outside numbers to see if you get your inside number. 155 times 4. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 5 is 20 again, plus another 2 is 22. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 2 more is 6. Now my dividend doesn't match my answer, which is okay because I haven't added my remainder yet. 620 plus 1 more equals 621. Now let's keep practicing in our problem set today.